What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm a little tired today. I decided to stay up until 2 a.m. last night watching opening night of the Cowboy Carter Tour on a TikTok live stream, and yes, I am exhausted, but I regret nothing. It was worth every single second of the 2 hours and 45 minutes that I was glued to my phone watching Beyoncé perform this show live for the first time. It was unbelievable. We're going to get into a full dive of the tour in just a little bit. It is our main segment of the show. It's not like my full review of the show because obviously I wasn't there. I watched it through a TikTok live stream. I actually had to watch it through like 8 different live streams because I think it was like Parkwood or somebody on her team, somebody on TikTok. I don't know exactly what was happening. They were shutting these lives down one after another. Like, I guess for copyright things, they were legitimately, I would go into one, I would watch like 5 songs, it would pause and you would know when it was happening. And people in the comments would be like, oh my God, gotta find a new one. And we would all hop to another live. Luckily, there was like thousands of people there who were going live on TikTok. So it wasn't hard to find a new stream, but it was so funny because you would get to a new one and it would be like 1,000 viewers and then it would shoot up to like 20,000 viewers in one live because we were all hopping around. I was shocked to see how quick they were to shut these live streams down. I didn't realize that was such a thing. And I don't think that was a thing like when the Eras tour was streaming, but who knows? I don't know. TikTok is obviously a beast of its own now. We are 2 years or a year out of the Eras tour. So I'm sure a lot has changed on that app as a lot has changed in the world since the Eras tour ended. But that being said, I'm so excited to chat about the Cowboy Carter Tour in just a little bit. But on the topic of events, I was so excited to chat with you guys. I saw this off-Broadway show last week on Friday night, and it's called The Last Bimbo of the Apocalypse. And if you know me, you know that I am just obsessed with all of the Y2K girls, Lindsay, Paris, Britney. I mean, the Bimbo Summit is like such a defining moment in pop culture. And this show is about a 4th girl in that photo. So it's supposed to be like these live streamers are on like YouTube or TikTok, and they are trying to debunk this mystery of this girl who goes missing. And you can see there's like the plot of the show is like, if you look over, I think it's like Paris's shoulder, there's a 4th arm in the photo and there's a wristband on it or like a friendship bracelet with a girl's name on it. So these 3 kids, they go on this like internet sleuthing hunt to find this girl and figure out where she is and what happened. And there's twists and there's turns, and it was so much fun. It's playing in New York, I think until like July, I want to say. It was so much fun. And I have to say, they literally like nailed pop culture and internet culture brain rot. Like, they were making jokes on there that are so niche and so specific to like a specific type of person, which is me. And I'm assuming the listeners of this podcast, because you're here for pop culture brain rot, just like the show was. It was so much fun. It was so funny. There's a lot of twists and turns that I did not see coming, which is the point of a twist and a turn. But I didn't expect it to end the way that it did, but I loved the way that it ended. I thought it was really good. Lots of fun, very upbeat, very fun, just like silly, kind of like, it's in that genre of like theater you don't have to think about. You can go shut your brain off and just enjoy the show, where I was saying a few weeks ago, like Sunset Boulevard, you have to go with your thinking cap on. This is another one of those shows where you can just go, enjoy it, sit down. And I do think like if you aren't somebody who knows like the niche internet pop culture jokes, like I think you would still enjoy the show because there's enough in the show that like fills you in on what's going on. There's just like a few one-liners that are like zingers that like, if you're online and if you know pop culture references, like if you catch it, you catch it. And like we were cackling in the theater. Everybody was laughing. It was so much fun. And I mean, the curtain for this show was literally the Bimbo Summit. So like it doesn't get more Too Pop to Handle than that. The show was so much fun. Like I said, it's called The Last Bimbo of the Apocalypse. So if you're looking for like a fun pop culture, internet culture kind of silly show to go watch, I cannot recommend it enough. It just opened, so there's plenty of time to still go see it. Add it to your list. Go see the show. If you like this podcast, you will like this show. I promise you that. And kind of keeping on the event train, I'm going to see Charlie XCX tomorrow, or today, the day you're listening to this, which I'm so excited for. But it's been really interesting watching this Brat tour kind of come about, because if you haven't seen, there's like the Brat curtain that she had at the Sweat tour, but now it's just like the backdrop of the stage. And it's been like decaying kind of. It's like turning brown and ripping, and like every night it gets more and more kind of beat up and like rotted, I guess. And the tour ends this Sunday in Brooklyn. So I'm really curious to see like what happens after Sunday. Like if she's gonna like, if the curtain's going to be like hanging on by a thread by then, and then, you know, whatever happens, it seems she's like destroying it every night. And it would be kind of symbolic to like announce a new era or announce like something new in Brooklyn, because if you think back to the beginning of the Brat era, it really started in Brooklyn, like with the Brat Wall and all of that. It was like really like the kickoff to everything going on. And then her first show of the Brat era was in Brooklyn as well. So there really is a lot of ties to Brooklyn with the Brat era. So I'm curious to see what happens after Sunday. She also just posted that TikTok about like how she doesn't want to let go of the Brat era because she loves it so much, but she feels like the industry is telling her she has to move on, which is like a very typical thing. Like I feel like a lot of people expect artists to like hang on to like go through an era and then like let go of it as soon as it's done, because if you hang on to something for too long, people are like, you're tired and you're doing the same thing. But like, why let go of a good thing if you don't need to, you know? So I thought that TikTok she posted was like really admirable for an artist to post. It's got to be something that a lot of artists struggle with, and then, you know, something that a lot of artists feel like, but their label or their management, whoever it may be, like kind of forces them into a new era. So curious to see like what's next for Charlie. I feel like she's been teasing the end of this era since Coachella. Remember, we talked about that billboard she put up with it scribbled out, and now the curtain is literally rotting before our eyes. So I guess we will see what is in store. We'll chat about more next week. And before we get into our new music releases, our Drew releases segment, I do need to switch gears a little bit. It just does not feel right to do an episode this week without sending my love and condolences. If you are a fan of Drag Race, I'm sure you've seen, but if not, Jiggly Caliente has passed away, which is so devastating. And last week, her family announced that she actually had an infection in her leg and they had to amputate her right leg, which already was devastating because she's a drag performer. Like, that's really going to set her back for her performing and just in life in general. And then just 2 or 3 days after that, they announced that she had passed away. It was like 4 a.m. It was sudden, it was peaceful, but it's just like, it's so heartbreaking. And Jiggly was such like a fun, lighthearted, you know, queen. You know, everybody loved her. I'm seeing everybody post about her, like all the queens and everyone saying how they have such great memories with her. I'm seeing so many people posting like DMs with her of like, she would just send them silly memes or silly voice memos. Like, she was just, you could tell she was like a fun person to be around, and seeing all of these queens and fans posting, you know, their like memoriams, I guess, for her. It's so sad to see. And she was so young. She was 44, I believe. And like I said, she was just like a beloved queen within the Drag Race fandom. She was a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race Philippines, which like Ru doesn't just let any of the girls become a judge on one of her franchises. Those are big shoes to fill, you know? She really selects people that she loves and trusts because it's carrying on her legacy. And it's just devastating and so heartbreaking to see that somebody who was such a big part of the Drag Race franchise has passed away. And I mean, Drag Race and just the drag community in general is such a big part of this show and my audience. I know a lot of my followers have found me through my Drag Race recaps, which I love that that's like the community that I'm fostering and creating a smaller community within the Drag Race community. So to come on here and not talk about this devastating news just felt inauthentic. So just wanted to send my love and, you know, make sure we are wishing her and her family well wishes. May she rest in peace. But let's switch gears a little bit and be a little more positive for the rest of the show, because we can't be sad for the whole hour and a half of Too Pop to Handle. That would not make any sense. So let's kick things off with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week and our new music releases coming up this week. Last week was a really big week for music. We had a lot of releases, but if you know me at all, you know that Lord's comeback single was the biggest release that I was waiting for. And my God, I'm obsessed with it. If you did not see, I uploaded a reaction video to my YouTube channel. So if you want to watch me literally live react to the music video and hearing the song for the first time, you can head over to my channel and watch that. But if you did not watch that and if you're not interested, I will not take any offense to it. I am loving this track. I think it is so good. I'm loving the sound. I'm loving this video where she's just kind of like driving around Manhattan and she's experiencing heartbreak in the city and she's finding herself and she's just riding around on a bike and doing her thing. Love the sound, love the lyrics. I'm so excited to see like where she goes with the rest of this album. It's definitely more reminiscent of melodrama and pure heroine, which I think is what a lot of people want. And I'm excited to just kind of see like how people react to Lorde in this new era and, like what people think of this new music and the new sound. People are loving it. It appears like I'm seeing it all over. It's charting pretty well. And just Lorde in general is having a big moment right now, which as somebody who's been a Lorde stan since like literally her first EP, I'm like, where the fuck has everybody been? I just saw a tweet earlier. I have it here. It said, Ribs by Lorde enters the global Spotify chart for the first time with at number 136 with 1.329 million streams. And I'm like, that song has been out for 12 years. And Ribs is like, it was never a single or anything, but it's one of those songs that was just like a cult. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. It was one of her better known not single songs. So the fact that like that song right now is having a moment, even though it is one of her more popular ones, I'm like, God, what is happening? Like, what is going on? It's so bizarre. I mean, I love that people are diving back into her discography and, discovering the greatness that is Pure Heroine. And I hope they go back into Melodrama, The Love Club, Solar Power, and like, give it the love that it all deserves. But it's just so weird to see Lorde having this crazy moment on TikTok right now with songs that I've been listening to since I was like 18 years old, now becoming the biggest thing. I even saw A World Alone is trending and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Why are people now discovering this music? But I guess it's the power of TikTok. Who knows? But loving this new release from Lorde. I'm so excited for this album. And we will chat about all the releases, all the, anything that comes out about it. We will chat all about it every week on this podcast as it comes out. The second release that we had last week was another really exciting one, was Megan Thee Stallion. She released Whenever. And I just love when Megan Thee Stallion talks her shit. Like, she is somebody who has no problem telling somebody who the fuck they are, putting them in their place, and just really like laying down the law. I pulled a few lines from it because I was cracking up listening to this song. She goes, and I quote, "Hoes running to see what I posted, getting a tan with my feet in the ocean." Then she said, "Out of sight, but still on you hoes' mind. Disappear, then I pop out more fine. Holding my own weight, fuck a cosign. Me against everybody on the front line." So clearly she is talking her shit on this track. She is like, I don't need anybody. I don't need any of these hoes who are in my comments coming for me. Keep looking at what I'm watching. Keep watching me post. I'm going to be getting a tan with my toes in the sand. Like, I could literally care less what you're saying, what you're doing. She doesn't need somebody to cosign with her. She doesn't need a man. She is happy. She is doing her thing. And you know what? That is the fantasy I see for Megan Thee Stallion. Like, she is such a bad bitch that like she doesn't need to be sitting there like appeasing to comments and worrying about a man texting her back or like having a man. Like, no, she's Megan the fucking Stallion. She can literally do whatever she wants. Also, the music video for this song, I'm obsessed with it. She looks so good. It's just like a fun visual. She's like the sexy librarian, and then we see her in like a bikini a few minutes later. Like, she gets you a girl who can do both, and Megan Thee Stallion can do everything in my eyes. I love this track, love this video, and I'm curious to see if this leads into like an album. Maybe it's just a one-off single, who knows? But again, Megan Thee Stallion can do no wrong in my eyes. The next release that we had was another single from Maud Latour. It was her first single since her debut album that came out last year. Yeah, it was last year that it came out. It's called Miss America, and as soon as I put it on, I was like, I feel like I'm transported back to Lana Del Rey 2013. Like, it was almost like if like Lana Del Rey, Born to Die, and Chappell Roan had a baby. That is what I would describe this song as, which is the highest form of a compliment that somebody can give, honestly. And I really like this song too. It's a song, she said, it's a song for my queer fans who have filled my rooms at my tours over the years. And she's kind of she's an artist who like toys with the idea of that, like that line in a queer friendship relationship kind of vibe where it's like, are we friends? Are we more than friends? Like, there's a constant narrative in the queer community where like, if you're a gay man and you make friends with somebody who's gay, it's like, are we friends or are we going to be more than that? And it's, with any sexual identity, it's a constant thing that's happening because it's like, what's going on here? And Maud is queer herself. So to see her kind of, giving us a song. And, I love when I love this like queer pop era that we're in. There's so many women and gay artists that are just like, really, they're bringing us the queer pop music that we need and that we need kind of, to start to break into the mainstream a little bit. And I would love to see Maud kind of getting that mainstream kind of success or eyes on her because I think she has something really unique and really interesting. So loving this release. And then we had one album last week. It was Coco Jones' Why Not More, her debut album. And I am loving this album. It is just such a nice, cohesive project. I will say I'm not like well-versed with the names of the song enough yet. Like I've been listening to it as I'm on the subway or as I'm walking. So I haven't been like studying the songs, but as a whole, really loving this project. I'm really excited to like dive into a little bit more and really get more well-versed and comfortable with the tracks. But it's so good. Her vocals are just so smooth and clean. Loving this project. I'm excited to kind of keep it on repeat and really like become more well-versed with it. And I mean, still to this day, every time I hear that Britney sample in Taste, I just like stop in my tracks and I'm like, this is such a perfect use of this Toxic sample. It is so good. Definitely go check out that album. I am loving it. And that wraps up our releases from last week. We have two releases, or one release confirmed and one release that I'm suspecting coming out this week. The first one is one that I honestly like saw and was a little gagged by. It's Maroon 5 and Lisa releasing a song called Priceless. Maroon 5 was like, they were like the kings of getting like a pop girl on one of their tracks. I feel like they were just so good at a collab. I mean, you think Christina Aguilera, Cardi B, like they've really done a lot of really fun female collabs. And I'm excited to see like what they do with Lisa. I think this could be really, really good. I'm excited to see what's in store for that. And then literally right before I started recording this episode, Kelly Clarkson posted a photo and the caption just said hashtag where have you been, which we know is the name of her next project. She posted it a few weeks ago. So she posted like a still from a music video. She's also going to be on the Today Show next week doing a performance. So I'm assuming we're getting new music from Kelly this Friday, which I am very excited for. I love Kelly. I love all of her past albums. So I'm really excited to see what is next for this. There's no like confirmed release date, but like I would say it's pretty safe to say we're getting it either this week or next week. So we will see, but we definitely have Maroon 5 coming out this Friday. And then if we get Kelly this week, we will chat about that next week as well. And that wraps up our Drew releases. So moving right along into our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, I want to make a quick disclaimer because on accident, 4 out of 5 of these stories are about concerts. And then our main topic of the show is the Cowboy Carter Tour. So somehow I'm just very concert centric this week. It's that time of year. There's festivals, there's announcements, there's tours kicking off. It just kind of happened this way. So my apologies that we are talking pretty much exclusively about live music and events this week. It's just the name of the game. I'm not complaining. I mean, it's my show, so obviously I picked the stories, but just want to give you guys a heads up before we dive in. But we do have one story that is not concert adjacent, so we're going to start with that, and then we'll get into our live events. So kicking it off, this was actually something that was almost my mess of the week last week, but I pivoted because I was just like, you know what, let me not draw attention to this because it was just like, there was a lot going on, and it's Jojo Siwa and everything going on with her and Big Brother UK. So we'll take it from the top, a quick debrief, and then we'll get into the new news. So if you did not see, she was on Celebrity Big Brother in the UK. And a few weeks ago, Mickey Rourke made a homophobic comment that was kind of like pointed towards her. So that was going to be the mess. Like the fact that we're seeing homophobic comments on television and just like, ugh, like, come on, it's 2025. But I was like, how many times can I talk about how much I hate homophobic people? But the limit does not exist. So from that, we also were seeing that she and her co-star Chris Hughes were like very touchy-feely, very all over each other and kind of making headlines of like, are they a thing? Chris is gay. Jojo is a lesbian or was lesbian at the time and they were like hanging all over each other. They were like best friends. And of course, with Big Brother, you see everything. So it was easier for people to kind of like go in and watch the live feeds and be like, oh my God, they are together 24/7. So it kind of like started sparking these rumors or whatever and these questions. And then Jojo did an interview and they were asking her about her sexuality. And she said, she was like, you know what? Fuck the L. I'm actually the Q. I'm queer. I'm not lesbian. And people were up in arms about that. They had a lot to say. They were like, oh, now you're, leaving the lesbian community. But I think when you really look at Jojo Siwa, like she's 21 years old. She's been in the spotlight since she was 7 years old on Dance Moms. Like she's somebody who has had to grow up so fast. And I think especially in the queer community, finding out who you are and what you identify as. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's a label. It's not, it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's not your entire personality trait unless you make it. And then it is what it is. But you guys know what I'm saying. So she said, I'm queer, I'm not a lesbian, and kind of stirred up a little bit of drama there. And then people kind of were like, oh, well, is this because of everything going on with you and Chris in the house? And what about your girlfriend that you've been dating, which we'll get into in just a second. So she went on and did an interview this week now that the show is over. And she said that my relationship with Chris is strictly platonic. Life is life, and I don't know any future of anything, but I'm really grateful for our dynamic that we have and our bond that we have. And whatever life does, life will do. Which I think this is her just kind of being like, I don't know what's going to be, coming up in the future. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been like, I'm a lesbian. And she came out and she kind of just like hit the ground running. She was kind of wrapped up in a lot of like TikTok drama with all the girls on TikTok. And that was a whole saga. My God, like even me trying to follow that when it happened, I was like, what is going on? Like who's dating who? And some of them, I was like, I don't know who is who and what is what and who's dating who. That was a whole thing. And that was like JoJo's like first endeavor publicly into the lesbian community. So I was like, what the fuck? This girl's going to give us a run for our money. And now she's coming out as queer, which again, she's just kind of figuring out her sexual identity, which I don't think is a crime. But then for her to come out and say, no, actually, I'm not a lesbian, I'm queer. I think people were just like, what does that even mean? And then, of course, it kind of like drummed up the conversation of like, was it Chris in the house that made you question your sexuality and what was going on? So I think it was necessary for her to make this statement. I think it definitely kind of just was like, no, I'm just kind of exploring who I am. And like, I'm sure her being around Chris and like hanging out with him, like made her realize like, oh, maybe I can have feelings for other people, but I'm not dating Chris. Like I think it just helped her kind of figure out who she is more. So that was one part of this story. And then the second part of the story is that her and her girlfriend, Kath, broke up at the Big Brother after party, like when the season wrapped. And when I first read this story, it was with Kath's TikTok posting about it. And they were saying how they flew to London and they were there to, support JoJo at the end of her run on Big Brother. And then they go to this rap party and they get broken up with. So of course, me included, I'm like, oh my God, here's JoJo being messy again. It's just like every relationship she's in, it has to be a mess and it has to end in this dramatic way. And I've said my fair things about JoJo, how I think she's a little annoying. And I think she's a little, sometimes like it's too much for the bit, I feel like, but I don't think she's a bad person. Like, I don't think she's somebody who's like malicious or trying to ever like do the wrong thing. I think she just kind of gets like wrapped up in these situations and like handles them the wrong way, if that makes sense. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Another situation where JoJo's like looking for a headline or whatever it is. And then I read more into it and I was like, actually, the way that Kath handled this is not the right way to do it. So Kath posted a TikTok or a story, it was a video somewhere, pretty much saying they were like, I flew to London and I went to come support JoJo and then I got broken up with at the rap party. But then JoJo said that initially I was told that the rap party was something that they didn't want to attend, and then about an hour into the rap party they decided that they wanted to. And so I was genuinely just going to have a conversation before, but then it led to another. So it seemed like JoJo was preparing this conversation and wanted to do it, but they didn't come to the party, and then they were there and it just kind of came up a conversation. And all the interviews and press that JoJo's doing, she's like, I wasn't intending to do it at the party, but the conversation came up and it just came out, so why not say it? And I kind of respect that angle, honestly. When I thought about it, I was like, yeah, JoJo could have like gone to this party, acted like everything was fine, had a great night with Kath, and then like gone home and done the breakup. But she was like, you know what? If it's coming up now and we're gonna have this conversation, there's no time like the present. And then I also realized like they have a 6-year age gap. JoJo is 21 and Kath is 27, and they've only been dating since December of 2024. So for Kath to go online and for them to like post this story or TikTok, whatever it was, and be like, I went to support my girlfriend and then I got da-da-da. Like, yeah, that sucks and it's sad, but it definitely was a little exploitative. Like it wasn't as like, it wasn't like you guys were together for 7 years and she's also 21 years old and you're 27. You guys are in very different parts of your life. So the way that the headlines and the stories were getting written about this really were like controlling the narrative. And I'm glad that JoJo spoke up about like, hey, no, that's actually not what happened. And I didn't plan for that to happen. But Kath said that they didn't want to come to the party and then they showed up and it got brought up at the party. So we had the conversation. I think it was just like a natural occurrence of events from what I could read. But I just thought it was interesting the way all these headlines about JoJo recently, like she's making waves in the media right now. She is the talk of the town, it appears. And moving into our next and our first concert story of the episode, we had Stagecoach over the weekend, which is usually not something I would cover, honestly, because country is just like not my thing. But it's appearing that Stagecoach has, in the past few years, really become just like the chiller, more calm Coachella. And I feel like a lot more influencers and a lot more just of like the pop girls are kind of popping up for surprise performances. You know, they're not just sticking to like a country route, which is something we're seeing with country music a lot, I feel like, in the last few years, especially with Beyonce doing it. I mean, Gaga did a country album. Like, we're seeing a country kind of there's like a blurred line between what is country, what isn't, who's allowed in this space and who isn't. So I just had a few things to chat about there. So the headliners for the weekend, we had Jelly Roll, Zach Bryan, Luke Combs. You guys know I cannot stand Zach Bryan, but the other two, I'm like, you know what? You guys are fine. You're like good country boys. I'll take you. But that's not who we're here to talk about. We had some pop girls to chat about. Paris Hilton performed at Diplo's stage, a little DJ moment, which I love that Paris Hilton is like just living her DJ fantasy and like doing whatever she wants. I'm obsessed with that. She brought out Lizzo for a performance, which was super fun. She also had Sydney Sweeney and Kyle Richards at her set. And Sydney Sweeney's making a lot of headlines because obviously she just called off her engagement. She's kind of like been a little low profile, but she's now like announcing she's going to be in, I forget the exact movie, but a John Chu movie. Like, you know, she's starting to get like back out there, and, you know, she's not like hiding from the media again. So cool to see her just like living her life, doing her thing, her single flirty moment. I don't believe Glenn Powell was present, so maybe they are not dating. Maybe that was all maybe she really is just really close with his sister, and that's why she went to the wedding the week after she called off her engagement. Who knows? We also had Lana Del Rey as a performer, and I still don't understand how we got to this part of the Lana Del Rey timeline. Like, where in the story did we take this turn where now she is headlining Stagecoach? Last year she was headlining Coachella, and now she's at Stagecoach. And that's kind of what I mean when I say there's like this weird fine line in country music right now where it's like, who is country, who's allowed in this space? And not to say like, oh, it's because Beyonce, but I do think like the Beyonce and everything going on with it, of her kind of opening up that conversation of like, no, like, anybody can make country music. It doesn't need to be such a closed off genre. I think it's kind of opened up some conversation and some doors. And of course, there's other artists who have kind of teetered. I mean, Taylor Swift started as country, went to pop. And, you know, I think if she was to make a revert back to country, I think some people would have a lot to say about it. So it's cool to see that there's kind of like they're kind of blurring that line there. But like I said, Lana Del Rey was a performer, and she's making some headlines because she said that she kissed Morgan Wallen. And of course, everyone's like, oh my God, she's mentioning Morgan Wallen and now freaking out. But it was kind of more of a drag. The line was, this is the last time I'm ever going to say this line. I kissed Morgan Wallen. I guess kissing me kind of went to his head. If you want my secret to success, I suggest don't go ATVing with him when you're out west. So clearly, I guess maybe they had this moment. Also, the thing with Lana Del Rey is like, I take nothing she says seriously. Like, I feel like she is always just like talking. It's like she literally is like a walking Mad Lib sentence. Like, why were you ATVing with Morgan Wallen? Like, you know, like, did this actually happen, or are you just like making shit up just for fun? Who knows? Regardless, the internet, of course, is like, why is Lana with Morgan? And, you know, there's all this stuff going on because her husband now, people were like not happy with the marriage. I was one included because he was known to be a Trump supporter in the past. So definitely like a weird era for Lana Del Rey. And I used to love Lana. I was really big into her, but I've kind of fallen off for the last few years. But she's one of those artists that I'll always have like a special place in my heart for. You know, she was like around in my formative teen years. So I always like keep tabs on her and I keep up with what she's doing. I'm just not in it as much as I once was. But I saw this and I was like, what is she talking about? Like, sometimes I feel like she just like literally is like, let me pick a noun, an adverb, and an adjective, and I'm gonna like make a Mad Lib sentence and say something on stage and see how it works. And whether she kissed Morgan Wallen or not, I don't really know, but I just don't get how we got here. I really do not understand how we went from Born to Die to Lana Del Rey being pretty much almost a headliner at Stagecoach. She was like second on the list. Like, she was high up. It wasn't like it was, I mean, she's Lana Del Rey. She's huge, you know? So definitely interesting there. But moving on to some other country artists, we had Shabuzi, who he performed in the desert 3 weekends in a row. I don't think a lot of people can say that. He did Coachella Weekend 1, Coachella Weekend 2, and Stagecoach. And he's really making a name for himself in this industry. Like, he is becoming, I feel like everyone loves him. I feel like everybody wants to work with him. Everybody wants to sample it. Everybody wants to, you know, perform with him or do these. He's been working. He's putting in the work and it's really paying off. So we love to see that, you know, hard work is making him successful and doing doing his thing. And I thought it was really cool to see. I don't know any other artists who are doing 3 weekends in a row in the desert. Like that's impressive, to pull I believe he was main stage at Coachella. So to pull a main stage Coachella set 2 weekends in a row and then go to a country concert, which is his genre, he really, that's what he does. But to be mainstream in that genre and break out into Coachella to then now go back to Stagecoach, it's his country festival. It was cool to see him do all 3 weekends. So we love to see Shabuzi winning in this house. Back on kind of an offbeat person, we had T-Pain performing at Stagecoach. So he's another one who did all 3 weekends in the desert, but he's a little less predictable for Stagecoach. Like, had you told me 5 years ago that T-Pain would be performing at Stagecoach in 2025, I'd be like, what are you talking about? But you know what? Hell yeah, why not? He pulled crazy crowds at Coachella. So to see him doing now this third festival was really cool. He also brought out Kesha, which is fun. They obviously just released their new single together. So lots of fun there. And again, another artist to see doing 3 weekends in a row in the desert. We don't see that often. And yeah, that's kind of our Stagecoach recap. It wasn't, like I said, it's not really a festival that I tune into often, but there were a few moments that I was like, let me shout these out because Stagecoach is kind of becoming a place to be. I mean, Shay Mitchell did a whole Bays collab there. Like they really are kind of breaking out of just country and they're kind of going into more of the influencer kind of space, which I'm fine with. I'm sure a lot of country music people are like, I keep those influencers out. They don't want all that hubba bubba at their festival. But I'm like, no, it's fun. Like, who cares? But yeah, that is Stagecoach. And I feel like with like Coachella, Stagecoach is like 3 back-to-back festival weekend, and then it kind of kicks off festival season. So we'll have a lot more festival chit-chat as the weeks go on and as summer kicks off. I know Gov Ball's around the corner. Bonnaroo will be here before we know it. So we'll have a lot more festival chat as the summer progresses. And while we're on the topic of festivals, our friends across the pond have a very exciting lineup coming up for Capital FM Ball, which I feel like Capital FM Ball is just like an iconic show every single year. I can think of so many like gay guy YouTube nights where we're watching a Capital FM like Ariana Grande performance, or there's so many big performances that come out of this weekend, and the lineup this year is really great. So the lineup got announced this week. It is on June 15th at Wembley Stadium, so huge place to perform. Mariah Carey is the headliner, and it's her first time performing at the Capital FM Ball and her first show in the UK in 6 years. So very exciting for our London lambs over the pond. But the lineup is like honestly pretty stacked. They have Busted vs. McFly, which is so UK. They have Zara Larsson, Dasha, Reneé Rapp, Jessie J, Benson Boone, KSI, Lola Young, and Jade. So I'm pretty sure Little Mix has performed at Capital FM Ball before. So it's cool to see that now Jade is going back doing it solo. Obviously, I'm immediately drawn to Reneé Rapp, and I'm like, A, Reneé Rapp is performing again. Thank fucking God. B, Reneé Rapp is performing in a stadium. That is insane. And C, where is the new music, Reneé Rapp? Now that you're going to be performing at this giant festival in London, I'm assuming there's music coming. There's an album, there's a single, there's something coming before this festival, or maybe she's going to premiere it there, because Capital FM Ball is like Mariah Carey can do this show without new music, without a new era, but I said this with love, but Reneé Rapp isn't an artist who is like people are dying to see and like running to go see without a new album. She did Snow Angel, she did the whole thing, and like to really get people excited, you need to release something new, which makes me also look at her socials, and she's been saying, what if I scrap the album? What if I push it off? And I think that's her marketing tactic of acting, too cool to have an album, because that's kind of her vibe. She's too cool for the typical music scene and this and that, which I mean, yeah, that works for her. It makes sense, but very curious to see, if she ends up releasing music before then. Also, Jade, I'm like, all right, are we going to get the album? Like, what's going on there? I think like Benson Boone, Lola Young, they just had huge moments this year with their album. So those are kind of still, they haven't burned out yet. That flame is still lit. I know Jessie J is getting ready to release new music. Zara Larsson just released new music. So we're definitely, we're in that vibe of like, it's all newer music minus Mariah. I mean, Mariah Carey can do whatever she wants. She's Mariah fucking Carey. But yeah, I'm obviously very tuned in to see what Reneé Rapp has up her sleeve, because I'm assuming I don't see her doing this festival without new music. So I wouldn't be surprised within the next few weeks if we get a Reneé Rapp single, album, something announcement. Eyes are peeled for that. I am very excited for whatever is next for Reneé Rapp. You guys know I absolutely love her. Moving on to our next moment from the week, there was just too pop to handle. Katy Perry has kicked off the Lifetimes tour in Mexico City, and now this is a very sticky subject. If you've been listening for a while, if you know me, I'm a big Katy fan. I love Katy. However, this tour, I'm really disappointed. And I don't say this in a way to drag her. I do think that the internet is extra harsh on Katy Perry most of the time. However, the feedback she's getting for this tour, most of it is warranted. And I honestly feel kind of bad. But at the same time, I'm like, this was your chance to really be like, no, I'm Katy Perry. Don't fucking forget it. And it just didn't hit the mark. So as I said, the show kicked off in Mexico City last week. And she did say that she was sick the first few nights. So people were commenting on her vocals. I didn't think she sounded that bad. I thought she sounded fine, honestly. But she was clearly going through something. But the rest of the tour, there's just something missing. And it just feels like it's so forced and is not Katy Perry at all. Like they're trying to make her something that she's not. The first thing that comes to my mind is during E.T. when she's like fighting a heating pipe, essentially. It's like this giant alien pipe is all coming over the stage and she's fighting it with a lightsaber. And like the idea of her fighting an alien during that song isn't the problem. It just looks cheap because it's like a heating vent, like a heating duct coming onto the stage. It's like you couldn't have done something more to it. Like it just seemed so like last minute kind of thrown together, and it looks cheap. And like with the landscape that Katy Perry's had the last few years, like, and again, I'm not hating on her for the last few years, but like I'm hating a little bit for this tour. I'm like, this was like your chance to really be like, don't forget who I am and who I was. And like, I still am Katy Perry. You know, I've seen Katy Perry live 3 or 4 times, and every single time I will pay for a pit seat because of how good the shows always are. Like I saw the California Dreams tour when I was 16, 17, and it truly changed my life. Like it was a life-changing show. And since then I have been like, nope, Katy Perry is one of the greats. I will ride and die for her through all of these eras, no matter what it is. And this tour, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Like it just, it's really upsetting. The choreo also just seems so forced. Like this isn't a drag, and like that's nothing to. It shouldn't have to be a conversation like this. But like, you are not somebody who needs to be twerking. Like you are not. That's not the music you're making. Why are you on your hand shaking your ass? And like the choreo just is. It's cheesy. It's not quirky, it's not funny. And I think with Katy Perry, like at one point being a little cringy was her shtick, and it was, you know, her gig, and it worked. But once you do it for too long, and it's, you know, it's like that is the shtick for that era. I mean, you look at like TGIF, like she's got the braces, and you know, she had that alter identity, and like she was really like leaning into like the funny, quirky girl, whatever, and she was always a little weird. And then we get, you know, even like with like Roar, and she's doing this like crazy music video, she's like in the jungle doing her thing, and she's always been a little quirky and a little weird, but like now it just feels so forced, when back then it was natural almost. It was like, no, this is Katy Perry, this is who she is. Now it's like they are trying to make her quirky and make her silly and funny and whatever. And it's trying too hard, and it's shooting her in the foot. And it's just so disappointing because Katy Perry is such a talented artist. Like when you look at her discography, when you look at her albums, like she really is so talented and has put on killer performances. And for some reason, she just cannot get her footing right. And it just feels like everything she's doing is not Katy Perry. And like she has kind of just been like the butt of the joke for the last few years on the internet, and it's sad. And like I don't think it's warranted all the like mean shit people are saying online about her, but then she goes on stage and does this, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like what you're asking for people to be rude about you. And then one of the nights, one of like the surprise acoustic songs that she's singing is Pearl, and she starts crying on stage because she's like, oh, I used to be a Pearl, and she must be like reflecting on her past. And I don't think she's sung the song in a while, so it probably brought up some emotions and, you know, just like reflecting on her career. But I'm like, you can be like, you have this fan base who sticks by you regardless of what you do, and you are still somehow missing the mark. Like it just, I don't know who on her team is sabotaging her. Like I don't know what they're trying to do and like what they're trying to make of Katy Perry in the year 2025. But like somebody has it out for her, and somebody on her team is sabotaging her, because it's just like, how is it time after time after time again? It's not great. And it's so upsetting because even Play that she did in Vegas, like it was campy, it was fun, it was silly. that wasn't that long ago. Bring that, what happened? Like, what is the disconnect? I don't understand. She's using AI generated backgrounds on the videos. Like, it's just, all of it just seems so forced and not authentic. And I think that's the biggest issue. It's not, they're trying to make her look like somebody she is not. And I think if she just like went up there in like really cool cunty couture outfits, wasn't doing all the shticks, wasn't flying around, wasn't doing this like weird choreography, wasn't doing all of these extra frills. Like if she went up there and just like performed, walked around, did light choreography, you know, she does have to do a little bit of dancing, like, you know, she does, but like she could just be like a hot mom up on stage performing her hits. It would go crazy. People would love it. And I think she's just doing too much. It's just sad. It's really sad to see. Also, Never Really Over is not on the set list, which is like, what the fuck are we thinking? That is literally one of the best songs you released in the last 5 years. Where is Never Really Over? Hello? Like, everything about it. I'm just like, what is going on? It's very sad. And honestly, I'll probably still end up going to the show just because like I do want to see it and I want to see like what's going on and like maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll, as we progress, like she'll button things up and clean things up or change things. But like I'm not spending over $100 for it. Like no way in hell am I dropping more than $100 to see this show, where in the past I've gone out of my way to spend extra money to be in the pit because I wanted to be close because of how good her shows are. Like the switch is just so crazy. And I know I'm not the only one. It's just like, what is going on? I don't know. But in other Katy Perry news and kind of the bridge into our next story, she attended the Mayhem Ball over the weekend, which obviously Lady Gaga's tour, which is just a big thing for her to do. I feel like she's getting so much hate online right now, and everyone is comparing her and Gaga specifically because that's always kind of been the feud online, which I don't even think there really is a feud. Clearly not. Katy's going to her show. Like, there's no drama, but the internet has drummed up this drama between the two of them for years. I mean, think back to 2013 with Applause and Roar coming out on the same day. Like, that was like the biggest fan war ever. And then Disease and Woman's World, I believe, came out on the same day last year. So like there's always kind of been this like weird fake internet feud between them, but like they never really had beef. It just kind of was like fandom starting beef. So for her to go to this show the week that she's getting all of this hate for her show and still show up and like be supportive and post about it and like be having a blast, I was like, you know what? That is big of her. And that is like definitely, I hope it kind of just like squashes these like online rumors that are always spread around the two of them. But she posted to her story a clip from the show and she said, "Every moment was the moment. So proud of you and grateful to grow up together. Love you." She also posted a clip of Perfect Celebrity, which I think is very pointed at everybody talking shit about her online right now. Like she's like, "You love to hate me, but I'm the perfect celebrity." So I think she definitely, she did her homework on the Mayhem album and knew what she wanted to post specifically to give the haters a little stab in the back. But again, I think it was really big of her to show up to this show, especially with all of the, you know, the scrutiny she's getting online right now about her tour, and people are definitely comparing the two. And I don't think we should be comparing the two tours because they're such different bodies of work that they're touring and they have such different discographies. And I kind of hate the Katy Gaga feud that people force upon them. But it's what the internet's doing. And again, it's also very crazy that like their tours kicked off the exact same day in the exact same city. Like very strange there. I think it was just like poor planning on everybody's part, but I'm glad that she got to go to the show and like maybe she'll go to that tour and be like, you know what? Let's scrap the Lifetimes tour and just like redo it. Let's take it from the bottom and just reroute it and start something new because it's just not great. Like I don't like to be like mean about it, but it's like, come on, what are we doing? That being said, moving on to our next moment from the week that was just too pop to handle. Lady Gaga has kicked off the Mayhem Ball in Mexico City. It is the exact same set as Coachella, which I was not expecting. And I'm not necessarily mad about it because we've seen artists do this before. I mean, Missy Elliott just did it this year. We saw Ariana Grande do it with Sweetener. However, I didn't expect Gaga to take her Coachella set and make it the tour. And I'm kind of hoping it's just for these like Mexico City and Singapore shows. And then when she does the Mayhem Ball tour later, it's a different set. Again, I won't be disappointed because the Coachella set was fucking great. And like, I know a lot of time and money and effort went into planning that. But I think everybody is a little confused. Like, was this always the plan? Like, are we just going to get the Coachella set across the country now? Or is it just for these kind of one-off shows? Because these shows were announced before the tour was announced. It was kind of like she was just doing these international shows to like go see the monsters over there and then kind of kick off the Mayhem tour next year. And then the response to Mayhem was so great, which we love that. So she announced the arena tour later this year, which is great, fabulous, cool. But now we're like, did everybody watch the Coachella set just to now get that tour here? I guess, we'll find out as we go on. And again, these shows are they're like very one-off, it feels like. They're not part of the Mayhem ball that's happening later this year. This is like Viva la Mayhem and like Gaga in Singapore. It's like almost like a residency that she's doing in these places. So it's hard to say, and it's hard to know if like this is what the tour is going to be later this year. I would imagine she's going to change some things about it, but I'm sure we'll see some reminiscent, elements of it in the tour. But I wasn't expecting her kicking off these Mexico City shows being the exact like copy and paste Coachella set. Like it's the exact same thing from what I saw. So I was definitely a little surprised there. But again, a Coachella set is a big deal. It's very expensive. So it would be a waste of money to not reuse the set, to not reuse everything. They put a lot into that show. So for these, I'm not as surprised, but I will be very surprised if the Mayhem ball later this year is just Coachella 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, whatever you want to call it, whatever version it'll be by then. But that wraps up our moments from the week. There were just too pop to handle. And moving into our main segment of the show, the woman of the hour, the woman of the moment, Beyoncé. So if you're living under a rock and you did not know, the Cowboy Carter Tour did kick off last night in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. Boy, oh boy, does that woman know how to put on a fucking show. But before we get into last night, let's reverse a few days and, talk about the days leading up to the Cowboy Carter Tour. So first things first, I think the biggest thing that happened the few days before is somebody was flying a drone over SoFi Stadium trying to get a peek into the stage. And SoFi Stadium is covered where most stadiums are open. This one has a cover on it, but you can still see through it. And they were taking photos and videos of the stage while she was rehearsing. So they leaked a photo of the stage like 3 days before. And I understand people are impatient and want to know, but it's like, why do we need to be flying drones over a stadium to leak this stage? Like, you can't wait a few more days just to see it. It just seemed so stupid and pointless to me. But something I love about Beyoncé is that she is both chronically online and is always going to get the last laugh. So as fast as somebody leaked the Cowboy Carter stage, she posted her own video of the Cowboy Carter stage because nobody is ever going to steal Beyonce's spotlight from her. Like, she is always 3 steps ahead, and that is why she is Beyoncé. Like, think back to 2020, 2021 when the Savage remix verse got leaked. Within the hour, the song was released on Spotify and Apple Music. She was like, oh, you guys want to play around and leak my music? Here it is, just take it. Like, she is not messing around, and she is always going to get the last laugh. And again, that's why she is Beyoncé. And something else I was seeing a lot online before the show started was that it was going to be like an alien versus cowboy theme because of the mashups. People were hearing them rehearse inside the stadium the days leading up to it. I don't think that came to fruition. And again, I was watching on an Instagram or a TikTok live, so I don't know exactly what was going on in the entire stadium. Like, there were definitely some visual elements that I missed because the person I was watching on the stream was only showing what was in their viewpoint. So like, I didn't see every single thing from the show, and I didn't want to see every single thing. Like, I do want to experience this show when I go next month as like, okay, I haven't seen every video, every angle, every this. So yeah, I was watching it live, but like, I don't know what was going on with the lights or the confetti or the entire screen. Like, Beyonce is such a visual performer that like there's so much more than you can see in a little iPhone screen. So maybe I missed some parts of that, but I don't think the alien cowboy, idea came to fruition where it was like alien versus cowboy. However, she's definitely showing us now more than ever that Renaissance, Cowboy Carter, and whatever Act 3 is going to be are all sister albums, and they all kind of coincide together because even like before she went on stage, she played the exact same elevator music that she was playing before she went on stage for Renaissance. So before the show even starts, we're getting this idea of like, okay, this is a connected part to this past tour that we just saw. So she's really solidifying the connection between these albums. And then on one of the tour t-shirts or hoodies or something, it says Cowboy Carter Tour 2 out of 3. So that right there signifies that it is is a 3-act project and there is a third part of this tour coming, or this trilogy coming. You know, we've always known it was 3 acts, but we never knew exactly like, was the third act going to be visuals like of the 2 albums? But with that kind of signifies like, all right, Cowboy Carter Tour is 2 of 3. We will now have a third tour at some point for Act 3, and it kind of just solidifies again that like all of these albums coincide together and they are sister albums, and there are references and ties between them all. And I think that's exactly what the Cowboy Carter Tour is. With the merch, I mean, there's a t-shirt that says this is not a country tour, it's a Beyoncé tour. She's really saying like, I am doing this on my own terms. Like, I am taking these songs and they sound nothing alike sonically, but I'm going to make them work together. And I mean, some of these mashups she was doing, I couldn't have predicted if like my life depended on it. So she is really buckling down on the idea that like, hey, these songs go together. You just have to trust my vision and let me show you that like these are coinciding songs. But we'll get into the mashups and the set list in just a minute. Also, if anybody is going to the Cowboy Carter Tour and doesn't want spoilers, I'm not going to go through the entire set list. I am just going to go through like the key moments from the night that really stood out to me. So there will be spoilers, but I don't want you to think I'm going to go like track by track reading it out, because I'm definitely skipping some things. There were some things that I was like, I don't need to talk about that. And I am going to do a Cowboy Carter review episode or video once I go to the show. So I'm saving a lot of it for that. So I don't want you to think I'm just going to like read off this entire tour and be like, she's saying this, she's saying this. I just kind of selected the moments that I was like gagged by, and then I'll do a more in-depth review of the actual show once I finally go next month. So I don't want you to think I'm just going to like spoil the entire show right now for you guys. And before I even get into any of the stage and the visuals and whatever, if you are looking at Cowboy Carter, whether the album, the tour, really anything involving this era, and thinking Beyonce's use of the American flag or any patriotic symbols is her co-signing what America is today, aligning herself with the MAGA agenda, you know, siding with Trump, whatever it is, I need you to just like sit back from this conversation and remove yourself from it, because you are clearly too dense to understand anything deeper than like listening to a song and like liking the sound of it. Like, you are clearly not listening to the lyrics. You're not reading the messages she's putting out with it. You are not doing your research and your studies on who she is sampling and the meaning behind these albums. Because I was seeing so many tweets last night after she sang the national anthem, which we'll get into in a second, but they were like, how are you going to sing the national anthem in the current climate of America? And I was like, well, did you listen to what she did with the national anthem when she performed it? But these people are just too dense and too... they don't understand anything more than surface level when it comes to music and artistry, which I think is a big issue with a lot of people who think Beyonce is overrated, because you just like, you don't have the brain power to digest what she is doing with her artistry. So just politely remove yourself from the conversation and just, close out the Twitter app, close out TikTok, because you guys look stupid. That being said, let's get into this show, because holy shit. So kicking it off with the stage. The stage somehow looks bigger than Renaissance, and the Renaissance World Tour stage was massive, and this looks bigger than that. I don't know how, and I mean, I haven't seen it in person, of course, but like, it looked so much bigger than Renaissance, and I thought Renaissance was like the biggest stage anybody could do. This stage looks massive. Also, the screen behind her, and then the way that it projects down onto the catwalk, so incredibly cool. I think it's during Levi's Jeans. She's like at the end of the catwalk on like the triangle part of it. And instead of the screen lighting up in the back, it's lighting up under her. It just looks so cool. And I love when an artist takes the visual risks and the visual like leaps to really playing with something different, because now it's like, okay, the people on the floor aren't seeing everything happening, but now the people in the cheap seats up top, which I'm in the cheap seats for pretty much all of my shows, like now I get a show that like not everybody gets to see. And even like looking, I hate to compare the two, but like looking at the Eras tour, Taylor did it a lot with her stage too, where like people who were on the floor weren't seeing the stage cracking, whatever, with a delicate when the stage would crack, like, or the checkerboard during Mastermind. Like, I love when an artist isn't afraid to do something on the stage that not everybody's going to see, but when you do zoom out and you get to see it from a higher perspective, it really just adds to the artistry of the show. I loved that. I also love that the robot arms were back at the beginning of the show. We'll get into the use of the robot arms later on, but like the fact that within like the first or second act, the robot arms from Renaissance are back and they're pouring her a drink of Sir Davis, I was screaming. I thought it was so funny. And I just really like the star star element of the stage where like the cutout is the circle for Renaissance. Now we have the cutout of the star, and then the stage like completes it. Just a really cool stage design, and it's unique. It's not something that you see many artists doing, and I just love an abstract kind of stage element. You know, it really adds to what the show is and adds like a fun element to the show when an artist isn't just doing like a square stage with the catwalk. Like there's a lot more to it, and I love that Beyoncé isn't afraid to just play around with things. You know, she's a visionary, but we knew that. Moving on, speaking of visionary, to the visuals of this tour. This is like a movie. Like this is cinematic. She literally has full movie scenes that she filmed, and you know they were on set doing. It is so cool. I think the visual of her like breaking the bottle over the girl's head was so cunty. I was obsessed with that. Also that little like duel that she does with the guy, and the guy shoots her like 50 times and she doesn't die. I'm like, yeah, Beyonce is indestructible. Like you are not going to ever stop her. You can shoot her down however many times you want. She's not going anywhere. Like there's like symbolism behind it. They're beautifully shot. It's like a country western movie. It's just so, the fact that she does all of this just for her tour interludes and visuals, and this is something she does for every tour. It's not new with Cowboy Carter, but just looking at something new, you get excited about it. Like seeing what the lengths that she goes to for these shows, it just like, it baffles my mind when people are like, Beyonce's overrated. She's not the greatest performer of all time. I'm like, have you watched a Beyonce performance? Because there is nobody coming close to what she's doing on that stage. And don't even get me started on the vocals, because the mic was on. Oh my God. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. I think one of my favorite visuals of the entire tour is when she's like the big Beyonce walking across the globe, and she like lights her cigar on the torch of the Statue of Liberty. She like grabs the plane out of the sky and like throws it forward. She like grabs the top of the Eiffel Tower. Just like, I would love to be a fly on the wall in her creative meetings where they're coming up with these concepts, and like she's walking through Vegas and picks up the Vegas sphere. And like, it's just so cool to see like this out of the box kind of idea. You know, it's like, it was like the movie was like Attack of the 600-Foot Cowgirl or whatever it was. Like, just like such a fun way to bring this album to life. And like, again, showing that she is kind of larger than life. And like, she is this kind of like this unique being, I guess. I don't even know how to describe it. And then I thought like ending that visual with the scene from the Super Bowl commercial, and we see that like what they're looking at in that commercial wasn't the billboard of Beyonce. It was the fact that a giant Beyonce just placed the billboard in front of them, and they are now looking at this giant woman behind it. But when you look at the visual from when Texas Hold'em dropped, it's just them looking at this billboard. So to see her kind of like continue that story and show like, hey, this is what you saw at the beginning and this is what they were actually reacting to, it just adds to the story and the plot and like the layers to this album. Just phenomenal. And then I think like the part of the show that really is just like for the Beehive is like that final interlude before she does the finale, where it really just like flashes through her entire career and shows us like what Girls Time, Destiny's Child, Dangerously in Love, and like really flashes through her career. And then we get to Cowboy Carter, and we see that she is dangling the visuals in front of our face, just like she did with I'm That Girl, because we got the I'm That Girl teaser and it flashed through all of those visuals. Now on tour, she is flashing through all of these Cowboy Carter visuals right in front of her face, playing in our face. And she's like, you'll get the visuals when they're ready. You'll get them when I want you to have them, but just know they're there. You're going to get them. And she is dangling them right in front of her face, just like she took that billboard and placed it down in front of the people in the other visual. She is just holding it right there and being like, yep, you're in the palm of my hand and you will get the visuals when I want you to get the visuals. She also, oh my God, she uploaded like every single photo from the visuals to her website corresponding with different dates. Like every date now has a different photo of her from a Cowboy Carter photo shoot, which I'm pretty sure most of them we haven't seen, which again, she's just like dangling these visuals in front of our face and is like, yeah, they exist, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for them. I cannot take it anymore, but like I said, we will get the visuals when Beyonce wants us to get the visuals. That is her journey. That's what she wants us to do. So what mother wants, mother gets. Let's get into this set list and just kind of, go through the moments from this night that were too pop to handle, in my terms at least. So opening the show with American Requiem just really sets the scene for the story she's about to tell us through this tour. I definitely think it's it's a slower opening song. Like it's not, when you open a show, usually it's like va va voom and big. And you think like when she opened the show with I'm That Girl for Renaissance, it was like, it zoomed in and had the big beat to it, whatever. American Requiem definitely starts slower. However, I think this show is something that builds and grows as it goes. So starting with American Requiem into Blackbird, it's not that it's a slow start, but it definitely isn't something she usually does. I mean, granted, she opened the show with ballads for Renaissance, but she opened it as Beyonce and then left the stage and came back to open the show. Like it was a different way that she did it, if that makes sense. But I do like that she kind of like eases us into the show. And then like 2 or 3 songs in, we get the national anthem, which is jarring to hear in today's American state. However, she's doing this like electric guitar version of it, very reminiscent of Jimi Hendrix when he did it. I think it was Woodstock, I'm pretty sure. He did like a much more like electric guitar version of it. And it was like the biggest deal. It was like, how could you do this song on electric guitar, whatever. And then from the national anthem going into Freedom, this is what I mean when I say like people are not looking deeper into what she's doing. Freedom was not only Kamala Harris's campaign song from the day that she got announced as a running candidate for this election, but it is her literally saying we need freedom from what the country has become, where we are right now in the United States, because it is a scary place. And her mashing up this rock version of the national anthem with Freedom, it really spoke such volumes. And I was like, oh, she's doing it. She is going there. And my God, did she just continue to go there as the night went on. And as soon as I heard her mash up Yaya with Why Don't You Love Me, I was like, this is exactly what she meant when she said Cowboy Carter is not a country album. It is a Beyonce album. The Cowboy Carter Tour is not a country tour. It is a Beyonce tour. She is going to take these songs that sound a little country, have a little twang to them, have a little bit of a different vibe than her past music, and show us how these songs still can be interpolated with her past R&B songs, her more dancey tracks, and she just kept doing it throughout the night. It just kept getting better and better. The next moment that really had me gagged was Formation into My House. I was like, this is going to send me into an orbit. Hearing Formation transition into My House as I heard the My House beat come in under Formation. And I mean, Formation is already like a crowd favorite. Like everybody goes nuts during that song because it's incredible. And it never even clicked to me that in Formation, she literally says, earned all this money, but can never take the country out of me. Like she's been saying like, you can't take country away from me for years. And the fact that she's now like highlighting that lyric, they like flash the words on the screen. I was floored. And then it goes into My House, which was like the end of the Renaissance era. So it's just like, it's tying everything together. And it's really, this tour is just showing us how much of an artist she is. She isn't just another singer. She's not just a pop star. She is an artist who knows how to take her music and take elements of her past and make something even greater in the long run. It is unbelievable. And then this next moment took me out during Diva. We've all seen it. We all know the meme where she fully leaned into this She Ain't No Diva meme, and her and all of the dancers find one person in the crowd to single-handedly point out and sing the She Ain't No Diva line, and then they change it to You're Such a Diva, and they give her tens and they clap for her, and she's like, I love you, and they like amp her up. It is so insane how chronically online her and her team are. Like they truly see everything, take every meme about Beyonce and just turn it into another moment. And that is what I mean when I say Beyonce is chronically online and is just always going to get the last laugh. It's just so fun to see her like having fun with it and like knowing what we're joking about online and like what's making the rounds, and then her taking it and like flipping like an Uno reverse on us and being like, oh, you want to make a meme out of my moment? I'm going to just hand it to you on a silver platter every single night. The next big moment from the night, and the moment that like really, oh my God, this took my fucking breath away, is when she's singing Protector and she brought out Rumi and Blue, and the three of them were just on stage. It looked like a Renaissance painting, which I'm sure was intentional, but the three of them just like singing this song together. And then she sings Dangerously in Love to Rumi, and Rumi's up on stage and just so happy and excited and like waving to the crowd. And as soon as Beyonce saw the excitement in her eyes, she was like, uh-oh. Like she was like, we got another one on our hands. Like she's going to be the next Blue Ivy, which pivoting really quick, Blue Ivy Carter is such a star. Seeing the way she is up on that stage, commanding the stage and dancing like that. When she did her debut back, whenever it was for Renaissance, like it was, people were making fun of her for it. They were like being rude about it. And like, she was like, oh, you guys want to make jokes about my dancing? Watch me. And now she's in damn near every single musical number. Like, she is up there performing non-stop. The Renaissance tour was so cool because she was doing just the one song and it was her and Beyonce having their moment. She is fully clocked in. She is on the payroll. She is a full-time dancer on this tour. I was shocked at the amount of times Blue Ivy is on that stage. The Deja Vu number, I'm getting ahead of myself, but like her coming out and doing Beyonce's Deja Vu choreography truly sent me into another dimension. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. I needed to give our niece her flowers because she really was doing the damn thing on that stage. My God. Beyonce did the two hands to heaven dance, again, proving that she is chronically online. And I honestly think my favorite mashup of the entire night was Sweet Honey Buckin', Pure Honey, and Summer Renaissance. Summer Renaissance is my favorite song on Renaissance, and Pure Honey is top 3 for me. And I mean, Sweet Honey Buckin' is such a moment within Cowboy Carter and like was really the big viral moment from the Beyonce Bowl. So a lot of eyes were on that song for the live performance, and the way that she takes us on a journey through these 3 songs so seamlessly. And like there's the sweetness of Sweet Honey and then into Pure Honey, and Pure Honey gets slowed down a bit. Then that beat comes in and we get Summer Renaissance and we end with Buckin'. Like the way that she took these songs, because Sweet Honey Buckin' is 3 songs in and of itself. Pure Honey is 2 songs, and then Summer Renaissance has that, that like applause moment where she tied it in. Like the way that she took all of these different songs and sounds and made it into one mashup was so fucking sick. I literally was like, this is it. This is unbelievable. She is truly a one of a lifetime artist. It is unreal the way that her mind works. Another mashup that I just cannot get over was Jolene mashed up with Daddy Lessons. Like the trumpets coming in as she's doing Jolene, then the horseshoe coming down and she like flies away. I was like, what is she about to do? And she was literally like taking off across the arena, the stadium. I was floored. While we're on the topic of the horseshoe, I will say 2 things. 1, Two Most Wanted getting just a snippet as she's flying around and she doesn't actually perform it. It hurts me because you guys know that is one of my favorites on the album. However, I understand that like it is very much more of a duet than any other song on the album. It's literally called Two Most Wanted. It's about 2 people, so she can't really perform it every night if it's just her singing it. It does hurt a little bit. I'm always like, just don't even play the snippet if you're not going to play the song, And the second thing about the horseshoe, she is moving awfully fast up in the sky, and I think we need a speedometer or something, because like, why is she flying around that stadium as fast as she is? Like, is that safe? Something about that just feels unsafe to me. And like watching it on the live, I was like, okay, maybe it's just like the internet is lagging and it looks faster than it is. But every single video I'm seeing, she is flying around that stadium. I'm like, do we need to go that fast? Like, are we in that much of a rush? We could slow it down a bit. It's a little alarming, but you know what? I am not the stage technician, so I guess I will let them do their job. But I'm watching you guys. Keep it safe. Keep it cute. Don't fly her too fast, because if something happens, we're coming after you. And speaking of the B stage where the horseshoe takes her, the fact that she has a B stage is so cool because she doesn't usually do that. That's every time I've seen Beyonce, there's never been a B stage. So really cool that she's using that like element of the stadium there. And then also doing Cuff It with Dance For You as she's like leaving the stage in the interlude. She is really just like pulling out so many of these songs that truly make no sense with the other songs and finding a way to mash them up in such a cool way. I keep saying it, but it really just speaks to her artistry and the way she's able to just like take something and make it magic. She is unreal. Then we get Tyrant, and she's riding a mechanical bull so casually, sitting on this thing as if it is like a normal thing for her to be singing this song flawlessly, looking gorgeous, while fully riding a mechanical bull. I'm like, what else? Like, what's next? You just flew around in a horseshoe. Now you're riding a mechanical bull. Like, what other stops are you about to pull out on this tour? Because we're like halfway through the show at this point, maybe more than halfway, honestly, and we're still getting these like major big moments. I'm like, what else are you going to do? Then she pulls out Thick and All Up in Your Mind, which, if you know, those are from the big three on the Renaissance tour, which I did not get to see at my show. I did not get Thick. I did not get All Up in Your Mind, despite seeing the Renaissance tour on the 1 year of the album coming out. She didn't do them at my show. So the fact that they are on this set list, I am so happy, because Thick is one of my favorites on Renaissance. And the fact that I didn't get to see it live honestly stung. And then she mashes up Thick with Bills, Bills, Bills. She gives us a little tease. She is sick. She loves to give us like a little sprinkle of a song and then not perform it. She did it with Sweet Dreams last tour. She does it with Freakum Dress last tour and on this tour later in the show. Like, she loves to give us like a sprinkle of a song, make us think we're about to get this like gaggy track, and then be like, nope, sorry, we're gonna go on to something else. She's so sick. She is sick. We also got a call back to the Beyoncé Experience Live from 2007 when she does Levi's jeans sitting on that lip couch. She performed Speechless on that pretty much the exact same couch back then. So again, she is referencing herself. She is doing these callbacks to her past performances, and it's just so cool to see she's had such a long spanning career and she's able to reference herself in these ways that still work in her career. And once again, this is not a country album. It is a Beyoncé album. I thought the dress during Daughter was so cool. I don't know if it fit the sound of Daughter. Like when I was imagining a live performance of Daughter, I wasn't imagining this like digital kind of dress where she's like changing the lights and changing how it looks. It was so cool. I thought it was dope and like really a fun concept, but it wasn't what I pictured for Daughter. However, doesn't take away from the fact that it was really cool. It's just like one of those things I was like, love the dress, love the song, just didn't see the two of them going together. But I mean, I'm not in Beyonce's brain, so I'm sure in her mind it made sense, and I'm not going to question perfection. And just when we thought she couldn't pull out any more stops, she literally brings us back to the Renaissance. I truly thought I was like watching a video of somebody's Renaissance World Tour video, like the opening, because the lives kept stopping and I was like going in and out of TikTok, and I was like, it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I was like, am I just watching somebody at the Renaissance World Tour and not a live? And I had to check. But no, it was in fact us getting the Renaissance World Tour intro once again, and she brought us back to the Renaissance, gave us literally the first 3 or 4 songs from the Renaissance World Tour. The arms are back for Cozy. The bed is back for Alien Superstar. Like, she is fully bringing us back to the Renaissance World Tour, and she's again just reminding us that Cowboy Carter and Renaissance are connected in somehow. And when you listen to Cowboy Carter and you realize that like Cowboy Carter was supposed to come first, and then it loops into Renaissance from Amen into I'm That Girl with that like ding, like it just reminds us that like, oh my God, we just got through Cowboy Carter on this tour. Now we're looping back to Renaissance the way that she intended. And it just like seeing the way that she brings Renaissance into Cowboy Carter and reminds us over and over that like, yes, these albums sonically sound so incredibly different, but do not forget that they are sister albums and they go together. And like, part of me is a little like shook that she brought back exactly the Renaissance World Tour opening, because like that's not like Beyonce. That's not like her to like, she's known to like take samples or take references, like we see with Levi's jeans, like we see with like, you know, using these samples throughout the songs of her work. Yes. But the fact that she's like taking the exact performance from the Renaissance World Tour and putting it directly into the Cowboy Carter World Tour, again, it just gives us this look into her mind of how she anticipated these albums to be released. And we know she released Renaissance first because she wanted us to dance, and, you know, but it really threw off her entire plan. And she just continues to show us how this album rollout all coincides together. And this like greater project really is this like great trilogy that she's been working on for so long. Nobody thinks like Beyonce, Giselle Knowles Carter. It is unreal. We also have Darius and Honey Balenciaga back to do their Vogue moment. And then Blue comes out, like I said, for Deja Vu. Like, we truly go back to the Renaissance World Tour and just have this party for that entire set. I mean, the whole show is a party, don't get me wrong. But like, really, like, we know the Renaissance World Tour. We know it like the back of our hands. So for her to bring it back and give us that moment to really just like soak in what Renaissance was and what it meant to so many people, I was truly sitting on my couch freaking out. I had to stay silent because my boyfriend was asleep in the next room and it was 1:30 in the morning. But I was literally sitting there like, what is happening? Like, I was truly floored. Holy shit. It is unreal. It is truly unreal. She gives us Texas Hold'em mashed up with Church Girl. We get Crazy in Love, the Homecoming version, but not just the Homecoming arrangement. It is fully the scrapped Homecoming arrangement and choreography from the Homecoming documentary that we see them rehearsing in the documentary, but never makes it to the stage. So it just, again, it reminds us that like she will have things that she scraps in the moment, but they always live in a vault somewhere. Like even, I think it's Yaya or like one of the songs on Cowboy Carter, I forget. Miss Tina literally was like, this is a song from B-Day that I heard all those years ago, and now she's bringing it back and putting it into Cowboy Carter. I forget exactly what song it was, but one of the songs on Cowboy Carter, like one of the verses is a B-Day album scrapped song, and she literally takes it out of the vault and puts it on this album, which I think we know, like there's probably so many things that she releases and does over the years that are things that she worked on years ago, decades ago. I mean, we're talking, she has a 30-year career almost. She's got so many projects that she's worked on, and seeing the way that she'll take a scrapped moment from choreography or music or an idea and bring it back all these years later, it's so cool to see the way she's able to do that. Like I said, we get that highlight reel of her career, which kind of flashes through her entire career from beginning to start, and she's dangling those Cowboy Carter visuals right in front of us because she's sick in the head. And then she ends the show flying over the stadium, singing 16 Carriages, and ending with Amen with the Statue of Liberty behind her with a full mask on. And I mean, that is how you make a statement. Like she is truly up there doing all of these songs, dancing, singing, doing it. At the end of the day, she is making such a political statement, and it is so admirable to see the biggest global superstar stand on that stage and make these statements. And people want to sit here and say that she's trying to spread the MAGA agenda and be patriotic. Like, let's be so serious for 1 second of our lives. And now, of course, that was just night one. So when you think back to Renaissance, so many things kind of got buttoned up and adapted and changed. She started doing the big three. So it's like, is there a big three for the Cowboy Carter tour? Is she going to do different costumes every single night like she did for Renaissance? Like we really don't know until we get the second, third, fourth night, because even on the fourth night, she can introduce a new costume, add a new set, add a new prop. She can cut something out. Like she's not afraid to adjust as she goes, because I think as you do it, you realize maybe it's not as well of an oiled machine as it is. And she changes things, she adds things, she adjusts things. And that's what makes it fun to see so many of the live streams and go different nights, because she's always doing something different. And she's always done that. She's always been somebody who really keeps us on our toes. Like no two shows are the same intentionally, which again, just adds to her artistry. This tour is just so fabulous. I'm not going to go on record and say it's my favorite tour Beyonce's ever done just yet, because again, I haven't attended it yet. And this isn't like me reviewing it. I'm just kind of recapping it to give you guys the moments that really stood out to me. However, when I do go to the show next month, I'm going 3 times. So I really will get to digest it, understand like what she's doing, see the visuals, understand it better than just like on an Instagram or TikTok live. So we will chat more about that once I go to the show next month. However, if anybody is interested, I am doing a giveaway on my TikTok right now. If you would like to win a Cowboy Carter vinyl, head over to my TikTok. I will have it linked down below. There's a video on my page. You just have to follow me, like the video, and comment something. It's all in the video. All the rules are there. So if you would like to win a Cowboy Carter vinyl to celebrate the kickoff of the rodeo, head over to my TikTok. All the information is there. And let's celebrate this Cowboy Carter Tour kickoff together, because like we are living through history. This is major. And that being said, we have made it. No TV recap this week. We're going to skip it because I'm not watching any reality TV right now, so nothing to recap, which means it is time for the final segment of the show. It is time for our yes and our mess of the week. My yes being something I am loving, and my mess being something I am not loving. And we always start things on a high note here at Too Pop to Handle. So kicking things off with my yes this week is somebody who has been a mess. I have said they need to go on a year-long blackout. Nobody should see them. Nobody should hear from them. They should just like go off the grid and then do a comeback. But you know what? When somebody does something that is yes worthy, even if they've been a mess in the past, I gotta give credit where credit is due. So my yes this week is J-Lo. I don't know if you guys saw, she posted on Instagram, it was like a screenshot of a tweet or something, and it said, "Due to inflation, my love will now be costing a thing." And I just think that is so funny that she's like in on the joke. She's making a joke, obviously referencing her song and the current state of the world. And J-Lo has, she's had a rocky year or so. The last 2 or so years, I would say, self-funding her movie, having to cancel her tour, the divorce. There's been a lot of negative things tied to J-Lo in the last year or so. And I've talked about how, like, I think she really does need to go on, like, a blackout for a while. But she just keeps going. And she's like, nope, I'm going to keep working, keep doing it, keep doing my thing. And she's not going to let anything get her down. But I saw this Instagram post and I literally cackled. I thought it was so funny. And I was immediately like, yep, this is my yes. Like, I have to give credit where credit is due. That was hilarious. I thought it was so fucking funny. And my mess this week is more so just like a dig at the media, because when I was looking for stories this week, I saw this article pop up on TMZ and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So allegedly, Travis Kelce has unfollowed Ryan Reynolds. And like, I can see why that's a punchy headline and why that would get people to click and like why it is a big deal. However, when you look at Travis Kelce's social media, he doesn't even follow Taylor Swift on social media. So how do we even know that he was following Ryan Reynolds to create this story and say that he unfollowed Ryan? Now, I don't know if he unfollowed him or if he didn't. Like, it's unclear. Nobody knows if he actually was following him beforehand or not. But like, the fact that we are scraping the bottom of the barrel so incredibly hard to say that Travis Kelce unfollows Ryan Reynolds, and clearly it's just trying to like paint Blake and Ryan as like they're being like Travis and Taylor are distancing themselves from Blake and Ryan with all this Justin Baldoni drama and this and that, you know, like just trying to like mix something up there. I'm like, is this all we have to talk about? Is this the only thing that these outlets can be writing about right now? Is that Travis Kelce might have unfollowed Ryan Reynolds, but he also might have never been following him in the first place because he's also not following his girlfriend who is best friends with Ryan Reynolds. Like, I saw this and I immediately was like, whoa, like that's crazy. Like, let me click into that. Like, they got me, they clickbaited me. And then I read the article and I was like, really? This is what we're boiling down to now. There's nothing else going on in the world. Nothing else we want to write about. Not trans rights, not women's rights, not ICE, not the president being a fucking piece of shit. Like, nothing else. This is what we're doing. Travis Kelce may have unfollowed Ryan Reynolds on Instagram, but we're not really sure, but he might have, and he probably did. So really, I was like, come the fuck on. Things like that drive me crazy. And I know it's for clickbait and to get like clicks to their website, but it's like, it's 2025. There are so many bigger things going on in the world than this. Yeah, I can't. So the mess isn't necessarily Ryan Reynolds, Travis Kelce, all of that. No, the mess is TMZ and Page Six and all of these outlets using this as clickbait and trying to like drum something up that is honestly probably nothing. And with that, we have made it to the end of this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you liked what you heard and you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you leave me a 5-star rating. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, give me a thumbs up, drop a comment down below. If you would like some more moments from the week that were just too pop to handle between podcast episodes, you can head to my Substack. It'll be linked down below. And I send out a weekly newsletter with extra moments between episodes that were just too pop to handle. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are at Too Pop to Handle across all platforms. If you would like to follow me, remember I'm doing that Cowboy Carter giveaway on TikTok. You can follow me at Andrew Nucatola across all platforms. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.